Welcome to my excuse me. Welcome to Martini time. Boy, I need a drink. Now, I've been kind of high as a kite all day. Ideas make me high. I get high on ideas. And there's a lot of energy out there today, particularly with the debate over the statues in Charlottesville, and now one of the South's generals has just quit, Bannon. So there's a lot of energy out there. And because I live in Virginia, the center of the universe, but then you're the center of the universe too. Since I live in Virginia, a lot of my friends are from Virginia. And there's been a lot of debate, conversation, angry, confusion, feeling under attack. They're trying to take down my statue. They're trying to take down my history. How dare they take away my history, my cherished history. I understand that. I grew up here. My ancestors fought in the Civil War. My father was an Irishman from Colorado, from out west, and at least second generation. But my mother was historic Southern. Grew up in Franklin, Norfolk, Virginia. Her cousin fought in the Civil War, and my great-great-grandfather, so that would be her grandfather, fought in the Civil War, was captured, and my wife's relatives, ancestors, fought in the Civil War. All right, it's I understand. I'm part of that, and I've been living here in the South since 1981, and so I've been watching. I'm old enough. I'm 80 years old, so I have seen the the battlefield of the South and the movement conservatism of the Republican Army, which began after Nixon. Nixon's legacy, good old Nixon, was that he invited the disenfranchised Southern Democrats and the evangelicals into the Republican Party because they were going to go independent with Wallace. And Nixon says, wait a minute, let's bring them in. We can give them a dog whistle. We can give them coded racist messages, coded Southern messages, framed like secular messages. We can dog whistle. They'll hear the whistle. Nobody else will. They'll come. They'll come. If you give them a way to be not racist and racist at the same time. You see, after the Civil War, after the Civil Rights, racism, overt racism, was dead. Before that, you see, before the 50s, schools were segregated, not to mention public facilities. Then in the 50s, the courts desegregated schools. Oh, no. But then the holdout was restaurants, public facilities, trains, everything. You see, you go in the South, you went into a dual society. And it wasn't separate but equal. See, so when the Civil Rights Acts came under LBJ, a Democrat, the age of overt institutional racism was over. You could no longer have a sign that said colored only. Gone. But where's racism going to go? Now, the catch-22 for the Southern Democratic Party, the Southern Democrats, the white supremacists, if you don't want to use the word racist, white supremacists, they couldn't be overtly racist anymore because the laws didn't support it. Before that, you could say, I'm not racist, but look at the laws. The laws are, I have to obey the laws. The laws say colored only. Remember the movie Hidden Fingers? Hidden Figures? Well, that was during the time of overt racism. But nobody questioned it because it was just the way things were. So you could say, I'm not a racist, I'm just obeying the laws of society. I can't help it. I can't help it if everything is divided into black and white. You see? But then when those laws came down, where is the white supremacist going to go? Nixon, very shrewdly, oh yes, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to let it be, we're going to fix it so you can keep your racist opinions and your beliefs, but the face you show to the world will not be racist. You can have your cake and eat it too. You don't have to change inside. You just join our party. And we will give you white supremacist values and give you cover. Then nobody can accuse you of being a racist. What? Me? I'm not a racist. I'm a God-fearing, patriotic Republican. You see. So they came in. The evangelicals came in. So for 50 years, the dog whistle blew. And the Republican Party became the moral authority party. The moral authority party. Because it had values. But the values were wedge values, you see. So if the values were anti-abortion, just that, and then you apply that value to a secular pluralistic society, the value becomes a wedge. It divides the land into abortion and not abortion. It creates a new civil war. It creates a new division. Under the false promise to the poor Republicans who bought this was that if we can just get all the power, if we can just get Congress and Senate and the President and the courts, get the whole thing, we will instill your values on the whole land. There will be no more civil war. We will restore America. There will only be American values, your values, God's values, Christian values. That's it. Everything will be one. Promised land. No more division. You will have your promised land under God and one set of values, you see. Well, this was a hoax. Because all these values just divided. But it brought in voters because they're voting their values. Not realizing that voting their values divided the country. And then the Republican Party couldn't give them their values because you can't have one set of values for one tribe for all the tribes. You see, democracy is made up of tribes, special interest tribes. So the nation, the federal government, the presidency, has to provide a field or a playground where all the kids can play and find a semblance of unity and work out their differences, but it progresses, you see. So the promise of your values will be the one values was a hoax. Couldn't happen. And it was proved when it couldn't happen when the Republicans finally got all the power. And we're watching that unfold right now. But here's the thing. I made the title of this talk, Thank the Nazis. Thank the Nazis, you see. Because what's happened here? Something new, unexpected, a surprise. A surprise. You can always depend upon a surprise to defeat your expectations. Now, Charlottesville happened. And now, you see, under Trump, he, like the Republicans who welcomed in the Southern Democrats and the evangelicals, welcomed in the alt-right. Come on in. This will be a multi-party, Bannon. This will be the party that includes small government, anti-government Republicans, anti-race, anti-gay, anti-abortion Republicans. And now we'll just bring in this other little group here of Nazis and white supremacists. Well, man, this will be a huge coalition. The Democrats will be reduced to just Black Lives Matter. That's it, you know. And, you know, who'll come up with another Hillary and we'll burn her too. Because we got the values. We got the votes, you see. So what happens? Surprise, surprise. So now we see the sheets come off the Ku Klux Klan and they march in Levi's, khakis, polo shirts. Nice looking young men, nice looking boys, Christian boys. You know, they're not rugged, bearded, Bigfoot, hobo looking, you know, gangsters. They're not Hell's Angels and they're not mountain men coming in from Idaho. No. These are your neighborhood, you know, nice boys, live down the street. One of them, even, I understand, was wearing a Verizon shirt. I think he's getting in trouble. So, nice people, nice boys. They just came there to support the coming down of the statue, the Confederate history. That's what they were there for. But then you look at the videos, and they march like Hitler's youth, carrying torches, chanting, "Jews will not dominate us." So now what happened here was the rise of moral authority. You see, up until now we've had a moral relevancy. Well, both sides do it. Obama did it, so we can do it. Or the liberals are doing it just as bad as we're doing it. We're all guilty. What can you do? You know, that whole moral false equivalent. And the news and the media doesn't help because they, by nature, will put both talking heads up there. So you get the left view and the right view, and they both sound okay to me. So nobody can choose. So, of course, this has been the strategy, because if you can't choose, you have to have somebody else to choose for you, like Trump or the Republicans, whatever. You see, they'll choose for you. They're the moral authority. They know. Like, you know, the father tells shut up to the kids in the back. Shut up. You know, this, you know. But anyway, so the Nazis came, and for the first time, you have an unequivocal evil. You just can't find any good in a Nazi. So now the irony is that the Republican Party, which has always claimed to be the moral authority, the moral voice of America, is now confronted with its own head, the president, who is amoral, who says there's good in the Nazis. The other side was just as violent. Yeah, there were some violent Nazis, but most of them are good boys. Most of them are okay kids. They just wanted to support the cause, you see. But then you look at the tape and you say, wait a minute, they all look like Nazis to me. And then one of them killed an innocent person. Now you got blood on the soil. That's what they were chanting, blood on the soil. Well, they got it. So now you have this awakening of a moral authority on both sides, Republican and Democrat, because neither one can find any cause to say Obama did it, or the liberals did it, or the alt-left did it, or everyone's guilty. No, the Nazis caused themselves. If you carry this logic of false equivalence to its insane conclusion, you would say, during World War II, that the Allies who invaded the Nazis were equally as evil as there was violence on both sides, and for that matter, the Allies attacked the Nazis. So they're equally as evil as the Nazis. Now that's insane, but that's the conclusion of the logic. The alt-left is equally as bad as the Nazis, as the alt-right, you see. And I've been arguing and talking about this all day. It is just a knee-jerk response now of this moral or false equivalency. We've been swimming in this pool for 50 years. The last time America had moral authority was World War II. Korea came, it got divided. Vietnam came, patriotism got divided. Patriotism, there were half the country said, yeah, go to war. The other half said, no, it's not patriotic, I'm not going. And ever since then, you've had this reenactment of the Civil War, this division in America by value. You see, this is not about policy, it's about value. And it's coming to a conclusion. It has to. The tension and the wah, 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 wah of a self-feeding civil war, like an atomic bomb, will reach a point where it explodes. And some want to encourage it. Some want to trigger it because they can't stand the tension. Like that idiot, that racist who shot up the church in Charleston. He thought he was going to trigger the war, the Armageddon. He could feel the tension. I'll trigger it. I don't care. I'm a martyr. I'll trigger it. I'll light the match. There's always going to be somebody who wants to light the match to end the tension and restore the one on the ashes of the conflict. That's what happened with the Civil War. It just turned the whole country to ashes. Had to build a new country out of the ashes, you see. Unfortunately, the old one got resurrected, and the Old South lived again. The Old South rose again, you see, in the form of the Republican Party. And so this big Bannon idea, I guess, or Trump's idea, to invite in the alt-right to expand the coalition was a failure. It was like inviting in a Trojan horse. Invited in your own, it's a great sting. I wrote about this morning. This is a perfect sting. The hubris of the Republican Party to believe that it spoke with the authority of God brought it to the point where its strength turned into its own weakness. The Republican Party created this sting in which it has to shoot itself in the head in order to survive. Trump was the gun. The Republican Party has to disown its own head, its own president, in order to regain the moral authority, if it ever can. Isn't that ironic? Isn't that ironic? So the Republican Party, having dreamed of having all the power possible, ends up having to kill itself in order to have some decency, in order to regain the last semblance of their long-sought and long-claimed moral authority. How ironic. And we can see it unfolding today. Today Bannon left, like the planner of this, you see. What's he going to do? He may take his army and go home. He may take his factor, his boys, and go home and launch a counter-insurgency, or a counter, like in England when you had the king and the king's brother and they both split off and have an army and fight for the crown. So I really see, now Trump and Bannon are going to both of them have to be the one without a second. That's Trump's whole modus operandi. I'm the one without a second. And that's Bannon's too. But while Bannon was the master of Trump, he could be the hidden one with the second, without a second, you see. Because Trump really wasn't a second. He was the guy behind the veil. But now he's kicked out. What's he going to do? He isn't going to quit and go home and watch TV. He's going back home to Breitbart, where he's already established the rebel army, He's going to be the commander of the rebel army now. And Trump, I predict, is being predicted, that when he's in a lose-lose situation with no exit, he'll just declare bankruptcy and go home. That's what he's always done. When he can't get out, he just declares bankruptcy and quits. And says, "I'm quitting. You didn't fire me, I'm quitting." He's got to go home a winner. Okay. Well, thank you for dropping in. So much food for thought. Such a great overlook here to see the panorama of American history unfolding in front of us, you see, as if we were Arjuna and Krishna on the overlook looking the battlefield of the Civil War. That's what the Bhagavad Gita was all about. The Civil War of the double bind, where Arjuna said, "I can't fight. If I fight on this side, I kill my relatives. If I fight on that side, I can't fight. It's a civil war. I kill everybody. So I don't fight. I withdraw. I quit." But the problem is you can't withdraw, you see. If no act, well, I'm getting into another thing, so I better stop there. We'll pick this up tomorrow morning, you see. Okay, thanks for dropping in.